It's 4:30 in the morning. Recording, and I can't sleep. Microphone is under position. I'm so nervous. Forgot my glasses. My heart is beating so fast right now. I can hear it go like boom, 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 boom. It's 4:30 in the morning and I cannot sleep thinking about this podcast. So I decided to stop trying and record this damn intro already. So here we go. Once upon a time, there was a girl who thought she did everything right. She went to a great city, a prestigious university, met the love of her life and moved in with him, and actually found her dream job after waitressing tables and working as a babysitter. But something wasn't right. There was this huge emptiness she felt that she tried to fill up a ton of different ways, but got nowhere. She didn't understand what it was or where it came from, but getting up in the morning had become a chore. After going through a very intense love triangle, she realized she needed to take time on her own. So she packed up her bags and went on what she calls her Eat, Pray, Love trip. And that trip changed everything for her. Ever since then, she's been trying to build her life the way she wants it instead of the way she was taught. But even though it was the greatest decision she could have ever made in her life, no one ever told her how hard it could get. Hey, I'm Lara. And in case you didn't get the hint, that girl's actually me. And in this podcast, I want to take you through the journey that is learning to follow your heart. I know, it sounds cheesy, but hear me out. I want to take you with me in my messy process through life. And I want to learn about other lives as well. And, share that with you. But first, let me explain the name. Heartpicker comes from the phrase, pick your brain. I always thought that was a funny phrase. See, when I was going through a time where I was so lost and confused about what to do with my life, I kept asking everyone I could think of for advice, which was, helpful sometimes, but eventually it just got very confusing when it came to making important decisions when I had so many different opinions. And so I realized that the one person I had forgotten to listen to was myself. That wasn't so easy at first. You read Follow Your Heart everywhere. It's a cliche, basically, but no one actually teaches you what that even means or how to do that. So I decided to make a podcast where I could share with you how I get there. And in that process, talking to other people too and learning through their stories, not just picking their brains, but their hearts too. Because I am sick of vulnerability being seen as a weakness. It's from vulnerable and intimate conversations that we can connect, learn, and grow. Through my story, through theirs, and even your own. So guys, I'm half Canadian, half Venezuelan, which means I grew up speaking in both Spanish and English. I thought a long time about what language I can make this podcast in, and I decided that choosing one over the other would be like cutting a limb off. So the content of the show will be split into both. 1 week Spanish, the next English, then Spanish again, and so on. For those of you who know both languages, you're in for some fun. For those of you who don't know Spanish but want to still see the episode, there will be subtitles provided on YouTube. Now for next week though, my first episode will be in English. And you're in luck because it's actually a very important person that I'm going to begin with. And that's Phyllis Rawley. My writing coach, but also sort of like my spiritual mentor.
That's who we are. That's what humans do. We are creators and we're caretakers of the planet. That's our responsibility, is to caretake the planet. We're not doing such a good job on the caretaking side right now. And we have lost a creative.
This woman helped me find my voice as a creative and to learn to trust that voice. Thanks to her, I believe in myself a little more now, and I'm in the process of even writing a book, which is huge for me because although I wrote a lot throughout my life, I never considered myself a writer. Now, just about a month ago, we sat in a meeting and she tells me that we need to wrap up. And I'm like, what do you mean? We're just getting started. And she says, well, honey, my time on earth is about to expire. Yep. Turns out she meant she was dying.
I'm sorry, I don't want to throw a lot at you, and I'm throwing a lot of emotional at you.
Well, yeah, it's just, I've had a lot of people die the last few years. I just keep thinking, why, you know? Anyway.
They keep doing that, Mama. That's a bad habit. We come, we go.
Yeah. But she didn't call it dying. She called it graduating from the third dimension. But in my first episode, you'll get to hear more about who she was during what was one of our last conversations.
You know, the fun I've had in this life is really the self-discovery.
I asked her everything about her life I could possibly think of, along with what her last words of advice were before she'd be gone forever. Because I wanted to share with the world this amazing woman who had taught me so much about life, about living, about being a creative.
Well, I'd be thrilled. That'd be kind of fun and kind of funky at the same time as kind of like, well, and this happened. As life does.
It's been a very emotional time and also an honor for me to start this podcast with her story.
And our ability to create is in our nature. And not the things that we have been taught as a species. We're supposed to evolve to a higher level. And you do so when you pursue your creative. So it's not 8 hours a day doing a job because that keeps you beta. The more you do it, the stronger you get on so many levels. And you don't go crazy. You only go crazy when you have to fight the system. But when you are allowed to create and just be, you make magic.
So be sure to check it out, and I'll see you then. Bye.